All right. So, welcome to the session today, all about pivot tables. I'm going to be going over some really cool things about pivot tables, give you a little bit of an overview of what it is. What is a pivot table even? Some of you might have seen them before, might not know how to create them yourself or how to manipulate the ones that you already have. I do have a couple of other things I just wanted to go through first. So again, Joanne Swenser, Know It Sooner Computer Training. You can see all my contact information there. Um, and what I wanted to do is ask you if you wouldn't mind, if you had any kind of positive feedback, um, please give us a review. I probably will send you a follow-up email after this anyway and ask you to do that with some links and stuff. And if you're interested in having us do sessions like this for your group, I have a list, I think it's about 3 pages long, of potential topics like this that are great for short, bite-sized information sessions like this, and I can send that to you. I did that the other day, and the lady phoned back and she said, I want one per quarter. So she booked 4 sessions with me. And yeah, so bite size and it's live. Live is good. Okay. So today I kind of did a little bit of introduction already. I wanted to talk to you about my book. Where is it? I wrote this little book. Shoot, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's not, I think one of my students took it to look at it, which is great. But anyway, I'll send you that as well. I did a little book, and it's 365 tips. So it's book on all the Microsoft programs. Well, not all of them. Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Here it is. It's under my webcam, if you can believe it. I didn't think that they took it. It's called Know It Daily, and it's 365 tips. It was a calendar, so you had per, one tip per day, and then I made it into a book because nobody would buy it after January. Nobody would buy the calendar anymore, so I made it into a book. So let me know if you are interested in that. It will be on Amazon very, very shortly. Free Fridays. This is the last one of the year. I am going to be doing them again starting in January on the first Friday of every month. So join my mailing list on my website, knowitsooner.com, and you'll know about them, or just go to my website first Friday of every month and you'll be able to register for that. I do have a YouTube channel, and I put all of these free Fridays up there, and they are for people to share with others, as well as just to come in and rewatch it. So let's say you don't touch pivot tables for 2 months, then one day you're like, oh shoot, what did she do? Remember in that session she did it. Go back to YouTube, and hopefully you'll be able to find your answer. I do have a couple courses coming up in the new year in January. Go to knowitsooner.com/events and you'll be able to see them there. That's where the Free Fridays show up. They are do, 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 Excel Level 1 is starting on January 27th. These are live sessions and they go over 2 dates. So you're sitting at your computer for about 3 hours max. There's there is exercises to do. It's not just me blabbing the whole time. It's a little bit different format than what we're doing here today in these free Fridays, where it's mostly just me blabbing to you because we have such short time. So that one is coming up. And then right after that one, oh, there's a Microsoft Word one as well. And then this is the one that we cover pivot tables in more depth. So Beyond the Basics starts February 3rd. And I would like quite a few people to be registered. That's why it's so far down the road. So please, if you're wanting, it's a 12-hour course, 3 hours times 4 sessions. You get a chance to practice, you get homework, you get a chance to ask questions. If you really want to learn Excel a lot, then consider taking Excel Level 1, even if you use it every day. I'm teaching on site here, like I said, an Excel Level 1, and there's a lady who's been using, I think she said 18 years, and it's only noon. So there's only been 3 hours of training. She said she's learned so many things. You should have seen the way that I was doing it, she says. So there's a couple other ones as well that I'm working on. So those are some of the courses that I would love for you to come back to. And that's what these sessions are kind of about is giving you a taste of what you know and or in some cases what you don't know. So welcome. I see a couple other people have joined. We're just going to get started here. I'm going to move my chat window over here. I've just pulled up a big spreadsheet. It's in the download section of my website if you want to follow along. It's called Store Sales, and it's a big spreadsheet. What I want to ask, it's about 700 rows, so just did a control down arrow there. What I wanted to ask is if any of you have a spreadsheet that you have different, like what do we have here? We have regions and categories and products and customers, lots of repeating data. Does anybody have a spreadsheet where, let's say, the region, they have an east spreadsheet, and then you might have a central spreadsheet, and then you might have a west spreadsheet, just because you don't want to see anything from any other region, for example. Or maybe you have a January spreadsheet and you have all the January information on it. Then you have a February one, you have all the February information on it. I'm going to encourage you to put everything in one sheet and then work with filtering and pivot tables to get what you want. Now, we did filtering, I think it was at the beginning of October. Look on my YouTube channel for that one. Especially if you're new, it would really be good for you. If you're interested in pivot tables, then you're probably interested in filtering as well. So please take a look at it when you have a chance. We're going to keep everything in one spreadsheet. I'm going to do a Control T that does a table out of this just to make it a little bit easier to work with. And then I'm going to just show you one more cool thing about tables. Tables are so great. You can't have any blank rows. They have filters on them already. They've got funky stuff going on here. Profit, watch what happens here. I'm going to go equals. I'm going to take the sales and I'm going to minus the cost. And look what it's going to do. Enter, bam, it fills in the whole column. Isn't that cool? If you haven't used tables yet, use them. Look at this. Look at this. I'm just going to the top and I'm just selecting. I'm not going to FGH. That does the whole entire column, like all the way down to row 1 million. This sales, cost, profit. Just going to select those three. I'm going to go back to home and I'm going to hit my $sign button. And now I'm going to grab my columns and I'm going to just go to the very last one of the three and double click, and then I can make all my columns the same size. So that's not really much to do with, sorry, that didn't make them the same size. It made them as big as they needed to be. I do that with these two as well. Double click, there we go. So we are just a little bit more familiar with our data now. If you were in charge of this spreadsheet, what kind of information would you be interested in? So it looks like there's dates of orders. So on the first, the East region got an order for grocery meat from Rosario Diego, and the profit, well, the sales were 2,300. What do you think you might be interested in? I might want to know, hey, what's my best-selling product? And maybe not so much my best-selling product, but I'd like to see a comparison of all my products. Meat. Well, it's a pretty big one here. Bread. Wow, who orders $12,000 worth of bread? Well, for whatever reason, I guess. I'd like to see what each of them is. So can you guys time me on this? Insert, pivot table, new worksheet. I'm just going to click OK, and I'll go through the slower in a minute. And then on the right-hand side here, I'm going to go product, and I'm going to go sales. Boom. Was that even 10 seconds? I summarized 700 rows in 10 seconds. Is that amazing? Is that amazing? I'll go through it slower in a minute. Oh, yes, but Joanne, who sold what as far as regions go? I'm going to grab region and drag it to columns. Okay, add another 2 seconds, and now we have summarized it by each region. And this is live data. So if I go back to my data sheet, my sales, I'll enter something in there. I do have to hit refresh, right click refresh, but it updates my pivot table. Is that amazing? Is that the kind of thing that you guys want to have in your life, is to be able to summarize stuff like that? And if you had, I'll go back to my data sheet for a minute. If you had a sheet for each region on it, like one sheet for West and one sheet for East and one sheet for Central, you would never be able to get a report like this. I shouldn't say never. You probably would be able to get it, but it would not be in 12 seconds. No, 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 no. You can do a graph on this now if you want. There's a lot of products to do a graph on. I probably wouldn't do that. Anybody impressed with that so far? I'm going to go back to my sales. So let's do a different one. Let's say that we want to include category. So I'll do this one a little bit slower. I'm going to click in the middle of my data somewhere. In other words, I don't want to be sitting out here in left field somewhere. Actually, it's kind of right field, isn't it? I'm going to click in here and I'm going to go insert pivot table. Now you can go to the bottom here and you can do other stuff. You can pick it from somewhere else or blah, 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 blah. Usually we're just interested in using wherever the data is, where my cursor is. So I'm in this sheet here, click in it, insert pivot table. It asks me which table or range. Well, since we were in that table, like I had suggested, it's going to use that table. And then where would you like it to be placed? And I had said new worksheet. And that's, remember last time I did that and it put it on a separate sheet. You can say existing worksheet if you want. You can have it with your data if you want. But if it's a big report, I just put it on a new worksheet and then you can double click on the name of the worksheet to get it to rename it to something like, what was that one? Summary of products or something like that. I'm going to click OK. Okay. Now, this is the part where people will sometimes freak out a little bit. And I'm just going to move this over because sometimes on the recording, it messes up a little bit. It lists all of the camera stuff. So I'm just going to move that. Okay. So this is the most confusing thing on earth. Filters, columns, rows, values. I want you to think about I'm just going to double click up here so that I can get a little bit more space. I want you to think about the report that we want. What did we want? We wanted it by category, and then within category, we want it by product. So think about the rows. Think about putting things in the rows area. So what did I say, category? I'm going to drag category down to rows. There's only 3 categories: furniture, grocery, and stationery. Automatically sorts it. What else do I want? I want it then by product. So I'm going to go product, drag it under category. Isn't that cool? So it puts furniture, here's all the different furniture items. Groceries, there's all the different groceries, and so on. Now I don't have to have category in there. That's what I did last time. I just list them. But maybe I want it in there. So then on the one on the right, values, that's what do I want to know about it. So I've got my sales. I want to know about the sales. I'm going to drag sales to down there. And then it gives, oh, did I drag customer? I didn't mean to drag customer, but what the heck? Sure, why not? Let's drag customer. So customer, Andy Flower, these are the things that Andy has bought. Andy's bought $3,400 worth of stuff. And there's the breakdown. There's another Andy, did that, and so on and so on. So always do your rows and your columns, sorry, your rows and your values first. And then you've got your columns up top here. And that's for other things. That's to further break it down, but almost making it a grid system. And I would do that in with a small amount of things. So like region, I think there was 3 regions. Categories, there's only 3 categories. I'm going to drag region to columns. So now I've got even more information. So Andy has mostly dealt with the central, but also the west. And the other Andy looks like has dealt with all three regions, and so on and so on. If you don't like it, if you think, oh no, that's not very useful to me, you just take it and you drag it out Drag region away. And you decide what else to do. Oh, let's try category. Okay, so Andy does not buy furniture from us or groceries. Andy is a stationary supply buyer. Andy Flower, anyway, only buys stationery. Andy Roddick, he likes to buy groceries and stationery, and so on. Augustine likes to buy everything from us. Isn't that cool? So you just sit there and you just drag stuff around. Any questions with that? And I would encourage you, if you have some of these, I think some of you said you have some pivot tables already, go back to your data sheet, create a pivot table on a separate sheet. You can always delete it later, do a copy of it if you want, and just try the different reports. It'll be more fun with your own data. We have one more spot here, filters, one more spot. Now I'm going to drag my region into filters. And that just adds here one little drop down box. But this allows us to filter the pivot table. So here I've got every region possible. I'm going to go to this region here and I'm going to say central. Okay. And it filters what I was looking at in for just the central. So if you wanted a breakdown of all of your regions, so you want it by region, by customer, by product, you probably wouldn't do that. You'd probably drag region to rows. There you go. Here's what's happening in central. Well, and here's what's happening. Andy bought this and this and this and this, and so on and so on. And then scroll down far enough. And there's East. And this is what was bought in the East. This is a very long report, so that might be too long for you. So if you're really only caring about one at a time, then you can drag your region to filters. I could even drag my category to filters. And then I can do filters on both. So how did the West do with furniture? How did the West do with furniture? There we go. So this isn't very good for comparing, but this is just, there's going to be all sorts of different information that you want depending on what you're doing. Maybe first thing in the morning you say, hey, how is that West branch doing? Okay, filter by West. Maybe you're saying, how did each region do compared to each other? That wouldn't be a very good spot for it then. You would drag your region either to your columns or to your rows. Rows you can't really compare because you have too much other stuff in there. How many pivot tables do you think that you can have? I'm going to clear that filter. I actually have the filter normally on my toolbar because I use that clear filter so much. You can have many different pivot tables. Hi, Colette, you just joined. I'm going to whip up a quick pivot table for you. Let's say we're interested in, we just want to know how many products. We're going to incorporate date in here as well pretty soon because that is the real icing on the cake here because how many years are in here. And that's the thing is people separate it by year or by month, maybe by quarter. Here, when we did this one at the end of 2020, we just kept going. 2021. There's lots of different years, and I think there's 3 or 4 different years. There's 2022. Yeah, so 2023. So there's about 4 different years in here. So we'll do that in a minute. So you can have a simple pivot table, or you can have a more complex one. So maybe we're wondering again about the products, insert, pivot table. Where is our data? Well, we were already in it. Where do we want it to go on a new worksheet, please? There it is. This is the scariest thing. It's like, what do I do? Who remembers what to fill in first of those four boxes? Filters, columns, rows, or values? What do we fill in first? Let me know you guys are still there. What do we put in first? We're going to put one of these fields, either filters, columns, rows, or values. Yay, Charlene, good job. Absolutely, put it in the row. So whatever you're most interested in. Sometimes pivot tables can be really confusing, like, oh, how do I get started? What are you interested in? I'm interested in products. There you go. There's all your products. You know what? Some people, they just stop right there and they say, I do not have a list of all the products I have available. There's your list. There's your list right there. You don't even have to do any summaries or anything. I'd probably copy and paste that somewhere, but that's my current list. If I go and do anything different with my data, I'm going to go back to my sales one. So I'm just going to be lazy and I'm going to change the top one. I'm going to change meat to, what should we change it to? Peanut butter cookies. I don't think peanut butter cookies was in there before. I'm going to go back to my products, my sheet 3, look under P for peanut butter. Oh, it's not in there. What do I need to do? Remembers what I need to do. I need to right click and say refresh. And it's goofy sometimes. It puts it at the bottom, but I can go to the top and I can say sort. Sort A to Z. Now I've got my peanut butter cookies. Now, did it do this one? Did it do this one? Maybe, maybe not. I did not. When I right click refresh, it only does the one I've right clicked on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top to Pivot Table Analyze, and this refresh button is the same button as the right click refresh. So what I'm going to do is go down to the drop down where it says refresh and refresh all, and I'm going to right click on refresh all, and I'm going to add it to my quick access toolbar because that's just too many clicks for me. What was that? Pivot table analyze, refresh, refresh all. Too many clicks for me. So now it's on my toolbar. So now when I go and I make a change to it, let's say that those peanut butter cookies, I sold 100,000 of them, $100,000 worth of peanut butter cookies. I could eat that many, honestly. I'm gonna change my name, the name from Rosario to Joanne, just to see, because we've got um, well, I don't have Joanne in there yet, of course, because I haven't done the refresh. Let's just set this up. See the before and the after. There's no Joanne in there. I just go it doesn't matter where I am. I don't even have to be on a pivot table. I could still be in my sales and I hit refresh all and it goes off and does all of them. So sheet 1 would have it. We started out with that one. Are we filtered by that one? So products, peanut butter, where did they go? Oh, there they are at the bottom. Of course, they're at the bottom, peanut butter cookies. Don't know why it doesn't put them in order automatically. I think if we closed out and then we came back in, it would. There's my peanut butter cookies, $100,000 peanut butter cookies. Sheet 2, I'm probably at the bottom. Joanne, is Joanne at the bottom? There's Joanne at the bottom. And I would have to resort that. I don't know if I could refresh it again. No, silly thing, little bit of a bug in the system. But I wanted to show you that anyway, because if you tried that and then you're like, hey, it's not working, it's not taking it, well, just look at the bottom. It always goes at the bottom, and then you can resort it. And where am I? There I am. Joanne's peanut butter cookies. Okay. So, and this one I'd already resorted, so it's right there. How would you get a customer list? Same thing. Sales. The customer's in there like how many times, right? How are you ever going to do that? You could do some cool sorting. You could do some cool filtering. There's my list. List one of everybody. How would I do that? Insert, pivot table. Let's put it on a separate worksheet. Only thing I'm going to drag is my customer name. Boom. There we go. I think I'm in here now. I'm in order now because this is a brand new pivot table. If I want something else with it, I can drag it. I can drag sales. Okay. This is how many each person ordered. So $3,403.28 for Andy Flower. Now, how many times did Andy Flower order? And what was Andy's maximum? And what was Andy's minimum? And what was Andy's average? How many things did I say there? I think I said 4 things. I'm going to drag sales. One, that's 2, 3, 4. I don't care where it is. Now that's just a silly little report, isn't it? Actually, I think it's 5. By the time I'm done, it's 5. I want 5 things there. You know what I can do? I'm going to leave some there. I want to add them. I'm going to go over to the next one. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say summarize values by average. And it's going to go in and it's going to average. So it says Andy's has an average sales of $486. Wow, that's not very much. How can we make that higher? Andy Roderick, wow, he's got an average sales of $2,386. Wow. So that's your average. I can right click on the third one and I can say summarize values by max. This lists the highest order of Andy. Andy Flower's highest order was 1,800. And you can do stuff with that. You can say if the maximum sales is greater than 2,000, then send them a free gift or something like that. 1, 2, 3, fourth one over, summarize values by minimum. That's his minimum order. There's all the minimum orders, and it's just for that one line item. It would take us forever to do it manually. And then the last one is a count. So how many times did Andy Flower order? How many times did Andy Roddick order? And so on and so on. Now you can rename these at the top to whatever you want. You can put total, average, maximum. Actually, I shouldn't say you can rename it to whatever you want. It is a little bit picky. I don't think you could type sales up there. So number of orders. I've got fat fingers today. Number of orders. So notice that down in my pivot table, that's also, you probably can't see it yet. Number of orders. Down here, if I scroll down here, it's called number of orders now. So yeah, cool little report. Any questions with that one? That was a drag, 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 and then right click and change it. Good stuff, you guys? I'm not hearing too much from you. Good stuff or not? Any questions? Okay. I'm going to go back to my data. I'm going to do a couple more. I'm going to do one. Let's say that I'm in the mood for doing some analysis of the regions. Maybe there's an award for the best sales or the best profit, because that's interesting, sales or profit, right? Let's work with profit. So who was the most profitable region? Insert, pivot table, put it on a new sheet. What am I going to grab? Region to rows. And then this time I'm interested in profit. So profit to values. And East is the best. If I wanted a quick printout of all of East's orders without going back to my data sheet, how would I do that? Does anybody know that one? How would I do that? I could go back and I could filter for East. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the number I'm interested in. So 449,000, double click on it. Look what it does. it produces me a report. Basically, this is a kind of like a data dump of everything behind that number, that $449,000 number. Cool, eh? Now, one thing I don't like about it is it's lost its formatting. Those aren't nice and formatted anymore. And it lost its formulas. Don't like that. And this is really just to have a printout. Maybe somebody says, "Hey, can you just show me my numbers for East?" It wouldn't be something like, "Hey, this number 614, that's wrong. It should be 714." No, 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 no. Don't do that here because this is not linked to anything. This is just a one-way data dump. But it's pretty cool if any of those that we talked about today, you'd be able to go in, like all of these ones. It's like, oh, this $3,084. Double click on it, and bam, it lists all Carl Lewis's orders. Don't do anything with it now. Just right click, delete the sheet because you don't want it thinking that that's the one to update. Anybody have any really good use for that one? Okay. So we're going to go back here. There's a couple more things we can do with this one. We could make a graph out of it. Sometimes a pie graph is a good one for this kind of thing. We're going to go to Pivot Table, Analyze, Pivot Chart. We can click on it. And this is really a good one. This is a column one. It really stands out which one is the best one and I guess the worst one too. Line, don't like that one for this one. Pie is good. I like the 3D pie. You could do a 3D pie, and it's very apparent that the my Zoom thingy's in the way here. It's very apparent which which one. It's the orange one is about half. Wow, East is really doing well. What's happening with the blue one? Well, when you click on these, you've got chart, pivot chart, analyze. You can go up to design up top. You can go add chart element and give it a title if you want. The title's already there, total. Data labels, none. You can go, I always go data label options. And then I'm able to say, do I want the value? Yeah, I want the value. I actually want the actual number there. And I would like to know the, is it the category name or the series name? Category, no, category name, category, or I don't know. I always get those two mixed up. Category or series. Let's put them both on. Oh yeah, series, not category. Yeah. I want those on there. Um, yeah, value. That's weird. It's doing some weird stuff right now. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. And then I can make it best fit, or I can tell it where I want them to go inside. It's got an extra thing there, but I can put that there. And now I can tell, no, I got rid of them. Anyway, you can go in and kind of play around with that and choose which one you want. I want the series name. Where's the category? No, it's series. Come on. Come on. Value from cells. No, I don't want that. Anyway, you can play around with that. Best fit. There we go. Center, inside end, outside end. It might be in white text too, although a minute ago it wasn't, so I'm not sure what its problem is. I actually will go up to these chart styles and pick one that I like in there, probably more often than going and manually doing it. I like to go in there and pick which ones. There we go. And you can go and play with the colors and things like that yourself if you want. So the idea of showing that it's half is good. Is it half? It actually looks like it's a little bit more than 50%, doesn't it? 54%. So that was also you can have it say that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get rid of my graph right now after all that. And I want to have those numbers right here. I'd like it to say right beside my east, I'd like it to say 54% and whatever the other two were. So I'm going to click on my pivot table again, and I'm going to go back to my, what are we doing, profit? I'm going to drag profit down here again. So it's kind of like what we did in the last one with the averaging and stuff. I'm going to grab profit, but this time I'm going to right click on it. I'm not going to say summarize values by, I'm going to say show values as, look at this one right here. Percent of grand total. There's so many things in here. Like, wow, there's a lot of stuff. Percent of grand total. And look what it does. It comes up with the percents. Now you could do a formula there. Oh my gosh, this is way quicker. So we can tell that that central is, oh, geez, you were only at 17%. If we went back to our data and maybe they really worked their buns off and they sold a whole bunch of stuff, right click, or sorry, refresh all, because we've got that button on there, these numbers would change. So the column B by itself, it's okay, but a lot of people want to know the bottom line, right? They want to know, okay, what does that mean? Did they reach their goal? Did they reach 30%? Did they reach 20%? Are they over half? So that was dragging it again, and that was a right click. Show values as. You can play with some of these other things. They're actually really, really cool. I love the running total. So that would be good if you had like months or something like that in there. Any questions with that one? Okay. So then the last one that I'll show you has to do with the dates. And this is, remember how I was telling you how I don't like it to, I don't really like it when we put the different dates on the different sheets. Now this is 4 or 5 years in this spreadsheet. Maybe the current year, you don't care right now about the other years. So you put it on a different sheet or a whole different workbook. What I'm trying to say is, yeah, you don't care right now, but if somebody asked you, how did this year's numbers compare to last year's? Unless you have them all in one sheet, it's going to be very difficult for you to do. So see how it just rolls right into the next one. So I'm going to go insert a pivot table. This time we're going to use the date. And before we do that, I'm just going to get you to always look in your date filter to be sure that it's recognizing your date correctly. Now I see some cool things here. I see that it has actually grouped them. It knows all of the dates here. It recognizes them, and I would be able to just say, hey, I just want to see 2023's information, and it kind of hides the rest of it. Learn about that in the filtering one that I did in October. But that's the big thing, is to do that. If I went here and I typed the date in the wrong format, like maybe my computer's set up for month, day, year, and I go here and I go, oh, 20, what's today's date? The 29th. If I go 29/11/24 for 29th of November, and I pressed enter, kind of looks a little different, doesn't it? It left aligned it. Look up here in the dates. Uh-oh, it stuck this icky one out. So it doesn't understand it because I didn't type it in the right format. Now, maybe on your computer, you're like, hey, I always type my dates like that. That's fine. Your computer is probably set up to accept day, month, year. Mine is set up to accept month, day, year. So it doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. Just watch for it. Because if you have an invalid date like that, this next thing's not going to work very well. So that's step one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how our regions did over the years. I'm going to go insert pivot table. New sheet. Now I'm going to have a lot here. I have six of them already. And I'm going to have my dates. Maybe I'm going to have my dates along the top, my regions along the row. So I'm going to go region rows. There's my regions. And watch what happens with my dates. I'm going to drag my date to my columns. Look what it does. And what were we saying? Profit. Where's my profit? I'll drag it to the values. So I'm going to be able to tell, okay, there's my numbers on the side in column F. I had those earlier, but now I'm going to be able to do a little bit more of a detailed one where, yeah, they've always done really well. Look at that. Look at 2021, 107. They really outshined, didn't they? And you can just do a lot more analysis. You can graph this. That would probably be better than what do we got here? About 20 numbers here. 3 times 5. Oh, I got more than that. 4 times, I got about 20 numbers. You could graph that, and that would give you a bit more of an idea, right? Look for the tall bars versus the, right, or the taller bars, right? What's happening to orange? Orange went way down in 2021. Everything's down. Everything was, oh, this data is just random data, but you can analyze it. So what I wanted to point out is over here, it did years. Now back in our data, we didn't have years. I mean, we do, but it doesn't say 2020, 2020, 2021. It doesn't have that. It understood it and it thought we wanted to do years. And it has quarters. It recognized the date. So it's talking about quarters. And you have these little plus signs. You could click on that plus sign and it expands it out. So here's 2020, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. And there's 2021 if we did the same thing, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four of 2021. That'd be a very wide report, but it would still be okay. If I click on one of those plus signs again, it expands it to the months. January, February, March, quarter one. If I did to quarter two, it would be April, May, June. It'd be really wide then, wouldn't it? And finally, if I expand January, it expands it out to the days. So that is like the lowest level. Remember, we saw that in our spreadsheet. It said January 1st, blah, 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 January 2nd, blah, 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 January 6th. So because it has all of that underlying data, that's all the stuff we see over here in our columns. Date is the actual day, months is the month, quarter is the quarter, and years is the year. So I don't know that I want date, get rid of it. I don't even want month, get rid of it. I don't even want quarters. Thanks for coming, Teresa. I'll follow up with you later. Um, so now I have the years and I don't have any plus signs or anything. Now you can get rid of the plus signs easy enough, but it's good to know that you can just deal with the year. Um, any questions about that? That's a fantastic report. If you have an older version of Excel, you might have to mess with that a little bit to get the years. You might have to right click and group to get the year. You can let me know if that's the case. So this is really good to see the yearly comparison. But what sometimes people also like to see is the monthly comparison, but they don't care. They don't want to go all the way back to 2020. They just want to see maybe the current year. Let's use 2023. That's our most recent data here. They would like it to say January 2023. Sorry, they want us to say 2023, January, February, March. Like they just want like an old budget, right? Like a budget. So I'm going to go back to our data. We're going to create yet another pivot table. I don't think that there's any limit except the memory on your computer. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go, let's do something different this time. Let's do Let's do customer and sales. Customer and sales. And we want it to be month. So we're going to scroll down. Well, we have month there, but guess what? That is all the Januaries, and that's all the Februaries, and that's all the Marches. That's not like I want to see January 2023. So what can we do? Any ideas? We can grab years. Well, we could put years in columns, but then it starts at 2020, 2020. We don't want that. You could put years in your filters, and then you could filter it by a certain year. So there's 2023. I'm going to click on a cell that's not in my pivot table, and that's how you can get rid of that thing on the side to be able to see your report. So January to August, because I guess I must have quit. I probably updated this spreadsheet in August 2023, and I didn't want to put any future data in. Or, okay, let's look at a full month, 20 or full year, 2022. And now I can see it. I'm going to control zoom down a little bit. That might be kind of hard to see, but I've got January to December of 2022. And I would be happy with that. Like, let's say this is the current year, let's just say. And I'm looking at it and that's all I care about. I don't care about any other year right now. So that's why sometimes you want to have it on several, like you want to have several pivot tables, right? I can't compare right now how I did in 2022 versus 2023. I don't care because I have one down here that does that. And if I didn't want to see the other, maybe a 2020 and 2021, then I can filter these as well. Column labels, I can filter those guys out. So there's more than one way to do filtering. There's just the last 2 years, let's say. And I can add other stuff to it. I can add products and stuff like that to it as well. Is that cool or what? I really like that one. There's the regions by category. Beautiful, beautiful. You're not going to be able to get that if it's expanded across a bunch of different sheets. Questions, comments, guys? Holly, pretty cool. It is so cool. Yeah, yeah. If there's no questions, I'll show you another couple of things here. Let me see what is Charlene saying. I don't know Google Sheets. Sorry, I'm a Microsoft girl. I almost have that a big M on my forehead. Does anyone on the call other know about that? Um, I think Google Sheets does have pivot tables. Yeah, yeah. Um, I purposely stay away from Google Sheets and Google Docs because I don't know them as well as the Microsoft programs, and people ask me the questions and I don't want to give them a textbook answer. Oh, let's just Google it and see. Google and see. I want to be able to say, well, I was doing that the other day and this is how I handled that. So yeah, I years ago when I first started teaching back in the oh gosh, you're going to know how old I am, the 80s, I used to teach Word and WordPerfect, and I used to teach Excel and Lotus 1, 2, 3. And I found that I can't I can't do a good job of both. So I picked one and went with it. So yeah, convert them all over. They probably have licenses for Office, maybe. Let me show you slicers. So I'm going to go back to my data. There's my data. And I'm going to get a pretty meaty pivot table here. I might have already had this one. Last thing I'll show you guys, and then I'll let you go. I'm gonna go, What should we do this with this one? Let's go region across the top this time. And customer. Let's do customer. And let's do sales. Okay. So this doesn't really tell at all what product it is, right? Or what category it is. And that would be a big report, which might be okay. I'm going to go category, customer name. Ugh, I don't want to really do it to the like it's a pretty big report. I'm going to put category in the filters. I'm actually going to put product in the filters as well. Okay. So watch this, you guys. Watch this. So, I mean, I could go here and say, show me all the furniture ones. Okay, now let's drill down and show me all the baby food ones. Why is, oh no, that shouldn't have worked like that. I was going to say, why is for baby food in furniture, but it wasn't smart enough to show me the list of only applicable things. That's a little annoying sometimes. I'm going to clear my filter. Clear my filters. I should have my clear button up there. There's my furniture. What I'm going to do, so step one is to put the cool things in your filters. Step two is to go, it's either on your pivot table or just to go into insert slicers. Where's my slicers? This is all small slicer. There it is. Insert slicer. And I'm going to say category and product. You don't have to have them actually already in your filters. Category and product. And what this does is it allows you to very easily pick what you want. My products are huge, so I'm going to drag it down and to the right. Down and to the right. I'm going to scroll over here. And I can't see very many, so I'm going to go with this product one. I'm going to go to columns. I'm going to go 3. Look at that. I can see more. Maybe I'm going to go 4. I can make it a little bit bigger. Can I see them all? Looks like I can see them all. But now what I can do is I can say, show me bread, show me cakes, show me baby food. And then I can go up here and cancel that. Show me furniture. And notice on the right-hand side, it's only showing me the applicable items. Remember before I did that and it let me pick baby food? Well, baby food's not furniture. All of these guys are grayed out. So this means this is the furniture that has been ordered, clocks, end tables, frames, and so on. If I want to drill down even more, clocks. Who's ordered clocks? Okay, those are the people that have ordered clocks. And I could take it one step further and I could say, this time I'll go into pivot table analyze because I know it's in there too. Insert slicer was there. I've also got insert timeline and it's going to pick up the fact that I have date. Click OK. And it's going to give me a timeline. So I can choose months, quarters, years, days, kind of like the other thing. Hey, who ordered furniture? Who ordered clocks in 2022? Look at that. I'm going to get rid of that clocks one. Who's ordered furniture in 2022? Who's ordered furniture in 2023? Who ordered furniture in December and November last year? Doot, 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 doot. Nobody. Okay, well, how about the last part of it? Isn't that cool, you guys? That's so cool. I just love the timelines. Again, it has to understand that your dates, and that's just another type of filter, slicer. It's kind of like another type of slicer. So you could be flipping this back and forth between months and years all the time. I think even if you do another slicer, you can have a month slicer and you can have a year slicer. Yeah, you can have 2 of them. So I'm going to make this one a year one. So that would let me pick really quickly the year if I just wanted, hey, 2021, what happened there? And then if I wanted to have a month one, I could have that one. So I could have two. I gotta drag that. I gotta put that clear button back up there. So data, clear, right click. There's my clear. So I could say stationary, bam. There's my stationary. Oh, I'm gonna clear that. Clear everything. So I'm right back to normal. Right back to normal. No, not quite. Stationary in 2023. In September, none. Okay. July. Okay. July apparently, 2023 was a very popular stationary month. Isn't that cool? So you can play with those, and there's something called dashboards, and that's kind of the beginning of creating dashboards where you're doing this, and it's much easier for people to just click on what they're interested in rather than making them do these filtering up here. You don't even have to have that filter up there to do this. You can get rid of that. That might be confusing. Any questions, comments? If you're wanting more information about pivot tables, please sign up for that course. Um, it's I've got an early bird on it. I think it's until the end of November. I know that's like 2 days from now, its price is going to go up. If you are just finding out about the course now and you really want to take it, but maybe you have to get approval from work or something like that, let me know. I'll extend it for a week or so and I'll give you a code or something. But I'd like to put some bums in some seats. It's virtual. It's 3 hours at a time. There's lots of interaction, more interaction than this. So let me know about that. Any questions? What do you guys think? For some of you that were talking about that you weren't really sure about pivot tables or you didn't really like them before, what do you think about them now? Awesome. Thank you, Polly. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Teresa. Oh, Teresa's gone. Um, thank you, everybody, for coming today. It's been great having these free Fridays. I hope to see you again in January when we start them up again, first Friday of the month. Thank you, Colette. You've been coming faithfully to them. I hope to see you soon, actually. Yeah. All right. I'm going to sign off. Thank you, everybody. Look on YouTube if you want to have if you need a refresher on this, or maybe if you joined a little late, you can catch it from the beginning. Thanks for now.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You're
Bye.
welcome. See you again. Bye-bye.